You could double your podcast listeners tomorrow and it still would not get you a single client. And I know that that sounds really harsh, but I've audited enough podcasts at this point to tell you that more listeners on a broken system and a broken foundation just means that more people are leaving without ever buying from you. There are 3 mistakes that I see in almost every single podcast I audit that are keeping podcast listeners from becoming clients. And most podcasters have absolutely no idea that they are making them. Let me walk you through all 3 of these. Number 1, your episodes don't connect to your offer. This is honestly the one that I see the most. You're creating podcast episodes that are genuinely helpful. They're educational, they're valuable. Your listeners probably really honestly love them. But there is zero connection between what you're teaching in your episodes and what you actually sell. So your dream podcast listener finishes that episode and thinks, wow, that was really, really amazing. And then they move on with their day. There's no bridge. There's no moment where they think, oh, I could work with this person on this. And that's not their fault, right? You haven't built that bridge, but it's not your fault either because you didn't know that you needed one, which is why I'm here. So let's build that bridge. Because your episodes are floating out there, doing their own thing, completely disconnected from your business. Every episode should have a purpose. Every episode should connect back to something that you offer. Now, that could be a free resource, a discovery call, a specific service, a program, a course, and not in a salesy way, in a strategic way. Because if your episodes don't lead somewhere for your listeners literally have nowhere to go. And this is a perfect segue into what I mean by this with mistake number 2. There's no listener journey. What I mean by that is every episode of your podcast should absolutely be able to stand on its own. So somebody should be able to, for example, jump into episode number 47 without needing to listen to episodes 46 and 45. Unless, of course, you were doing some type of mini-series, and that's perfectly understandable. But that's not the problem. The problem is that there's no intentional path. There's no strategy behind which episodes lead to which next step. Think about it like this. If somebody finds your podcast for the very first time today and listens to just one episode, what happens next? Do they know which episode to listen to after that? Is there a path that takes them from, I just found this show to, I really need to work with this person? Or do they just bounce around randomly and hope that they eventually figure it out? Because a podcast that converts to clients has an intentional journey. Not every single episode has to be a part of some complicated funnel, but you do need to be thinking about where each episode is sending your listener. Otherwise, they listen, they enjoy it, and then they leave every single time. Which leads me to mistake number 3. And this one hurts my heart a little bit because it's so fixable and almost nobody checks this, okay? Your call to actions, my friend, they are broken. They're broken, they're broken. The thing that you tell people to do at the end of your episode, which hopefully, by the way, you're not only telling them at the end of the episode. In fact, I recommend that you tell them near the beginning of the episode when the engagement is the highest, or in the middle of the episode, at the very least, and then a reminder at the end. But that's neither here nor there. The thing that you told them to do in the episode, those links are either generic, outdated, or they're completely missing and or broken. I can't tell you how many podcasts I've audited where when I'm looking at the show notes, the links lead to a dead page, a 404 page, broken links, an old offer they don't even sell anymore, or just their homepage with no clear next step. Or worse, there's no call to action at all. The episode just ends and the listener has nowhere to go. Your call to action does not have to be a hard sell either. It can be as simple as, hey friend, if this resonated with you, here's the one thing that I would do next. But it has to exist. You have to actually speak it into existence. And it has to be intentional. And it has to actually work when somebody clicks the link. So I am all about action here on this YouTube channel, and I want you to go and look at the last 5 podcast episodes that you've published, and I want you to click on every link in your show notes and see where they go. You might just be shocked. And if you don't want to do this alone, I actually built a free tool that will help you with this. It's called the Podcast to Clients Audit, where you answer a few questions and it's going to actually give you a very personalized audit report showing you exactly where your show is losing out on clients. It takes about 10 minutes or less, and I'm going to drop the link for you right below in the description of this video. So here's what I need you to understand. The answer to getting clients from your podcast is not more podcast listeners. It's fixing what happens after somebody actually listens. It's making sure that your podcast connects to your offers. It's building an intentional path from listener to client. And it's making sure that your calls to action, your links actually work and lead somewhere strategic for your business. When those three things are in place, you do not need a massive audience. And I will say this until I'm blue in the face. You need the right audience at the right time looking for your specific offer that only you can provide. And you already have listeners right now who could become clients if the system was set up correctly, which is exactly the kind of thing that I help you fix at my Podcast to Clients live workshop. That's where we actually do the work together in real time. You don't just learn about it. You're not just hearing me preach and teach. You're actually implementing this on your own during the workshop. I'm going to drop the link below in the description of this video for Podcast to Clients Live, and I would absolutely love to see you there. So now you know the three things that are keeping your podcast listeners from becoming clients. Your episodes are not connected to your offer. There's no intentional listener journey, and your calls to actions are missing and or broken. Now you're probably thinking, okay, Pamela, I see what's wrong, but how do I actually fix it? What do I actually do? And how do I know that it works? What do I actually do from here? And that's exactly what I'm diving into in my next video. I will see you over there.